I know I'm not in a dream by no, like in a dream I can almost get out of anything, or even just like applying pressure to get out of something. It'll make everything morph and change because like dreams are fluid.
Mm-hmm.
It's more fluid. Whereas like I know if like I'm in a room and I'm like I wanna like walk through this wall. If I push on that wall hard enough, I'm not gonna walk through it.
My fellow Americans.
Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
A man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
He says, now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that.
See,
That's
for
how I
me,
know I'm not dreaming.
I can't really tell I'm in a dream. Most of the time, like sometimes I'll have dreams where I'm literally just driving in a car, and all of a sudden, like I'm at like a stoplight, and like in my dream, I just feel like I'm high. That's just kind of what I feel like when I'm dreaming. And then all of a sudden, I'll rear end a car and then just wake up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. So
Never
like
had a dream like that.
for like I have a lot of those. And so for a
That's
second
bad.
there, dude, in my head I'm like, did I just like get into a car accident? And then I wake up. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's almost like the shock of the car accident wakes me up, like the idea of getting into a car accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another thing, you know how I know I'm in a dream though sometimes? Or at least I know I'm in some kind of dream state, whether it's just really high or actually in a dream.
Oh.
I'll have these moments, and this happens to me when I'm like tripping really hard, and that's why I say like in maybe a dream state. I'll have like these moments where it's almost like I'll be in one situation, almost like a movie. I'll be in one situation and everything will be just normal, and then it's almost like reality just completely shifts. It's almost like I don't even notice it, but like I cut to a completely different situation, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is just another thing. And in my head, you know, I'm not cognizant that it's a dream, but I'm just like thinking about like maybe I'm just like high or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, I tell you all the time, but I feel like when I'm in my dreams, I'm a different person entirely.
Really?
I feel like I'm not me, and I make decisions I wouldn't like. When I'm dreaming, I make decisions I would never make in real life, and I know it.
You know what's
It's
funny
kind of
is
crazy. My dreams, I remember, I literally think like, what was I even thinking? Like, who the fuck was that? Like, it's crazy, and it makes me think like a lot of it is like my shadow going wild.
I'm like the total opposite. Like for me, like my dreams are always like scenarios of me or people that I know.
Wow.
Yeah, like literally, like even grown, like it's always been like me as like a first person perspective. Like I've always like, even if it's the most wackiest shit, like fighting dinosaurs or like robots in a warehouse is one that I remember as a kid in high school.
Yeah.
That was fun. But shit like that.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah, what?
You know how they started making AI, not AI. You know how they started making like, remember before AI? Can we just start there? Remember before AI existed?
You mean like 3 years ago?
Yes, but like
Sort of.
think like 5 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when they were like kind of, and it probably was with like some sort of AI, but making those dream simulation images and videos?
Yeah.
And that's what AI was like first churning out, was a weird trippy shit like that.
To me, it just reminded me of like of tripping on acid and shit.
Well, yes, but listen. Do you
Yep.
not think that AI reminds you of dreams?
But the way AI is just always so on 10.
Not just that, but like just the way things morph and change in AI, the unexplainableness of AI, and it's like showing us things that we've never even like seen before.
Well, you could almost gather that like AI is just like is just like our brains are kind of like AI, and when isn't that like a
That's
theory
what I
too?
mean.
That yeah, when we dream, it's just processing like a lot of what we like thought about or like experienced that day or that week or month or whatever.
We're not AI. We're just I.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like
But no,
wouldn't
no, but you're right in that. Like, what I'm trying to say is that like these AIs are just eyes. Like like we are some weird system like that, and we have created something that thinks.
well, yeah, because our brains are just feedback loops,
Yeah,
and that's all AI is.
I feel
Inter-
like
that's the
the
universe,
wheel is
really.
like something
What is it?
fucking the samsara wheel.
Yeah. Well, the universe. That's pretty much all it is. It's just like instant feedback and regurgitation from that feedback. Like
Yeah,
it all
it's like
started from like
it's
simple molecules.
being filled up with energy, and then like then we get like squeezed out. It's like it reminds me of like
It's like a tree.
it reminds me of like some sort of conveyor belt system of like, but like in a way it's like it's harvesting something from us while like rinse and repeating us. Like we produce something. It's kind of like the Matrix, but in the Matrix we're like electricity. I think we're
Yeah.
more than electricity. I think it's something a little different than that. And the way people when you get reset, like you kind of take something with like. I also feel like what's crazy is this happens on like a long period of time, and I think that like when we get reset, there can be like you know how like you get set back and you some people get set back for like bad reasons, like they didn't do right in the first in their go
Yeah.
around that they're in. But it's also like that's AI getting the kinks out. That's it like running simulations or just like high speed making it happen to get through all of the wrong answers or to find
So
the right answer faster.
our souls are like AI or just I.
It's just like as above, so below.
Oh yeah.
And like, people like fucking farm bitcoins and shit like that just by like having websites that people click on.
Or playing games.
What?
That's a big one. People like have games where they'll play it and they're basically like farming Bitcoin or farming crypto while they play
Yeah,
the games.
but there is like some big value point that increases and drops in value like that we secrete out of us.
Yeah, probably. Our souls. Speaking of secretions out of our
I feel
souls.
like our soul must be
Yeah.
the thing that is like creating this thing that's being harvested, because when you get reincarnated, that's your soul being reincarnated, is it not?
Yeah. So what do you think
So the
happens
soul
if you
isn't being
don't get
taken,
reincarnated?
huh?
What do you think happens if you don't get reincarnated?
You move on.
Where?
That's the thing, is like the wheel makes it sound like it's something you're trying to get out of, but I feel like it's not. It's just like constantly growing and changing.
I feel like if you're
And that the reset process is when things fail. It's like like it's not a wheel. It's literally just getting reset and reset and reset until progress can be made.
so what do you think? Is the president getting reset? Is his wheel getting reset today?
Dude, we'll never know. We'll never know these days with these world leaders. An actor could just show up on stage and they're so advanced now that it'll just look like the same person.
Like old Yahoo. But yeah. So yeah. AI, souls, samsara, all that kind of shit.
Samsara is just like the thing that fixes you up. You get set back, you start going up again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what we haven't really talked about is all these scientists that have gone missing. We're at like
Yeah,
8 now. That's
yeah.
pretty wild. What do you think's up with that?
Well, this is the start to the greatest story
A
that
lot of
our
people are
world's ever
saying that
seen.
this is blue beam.
Yeah, that's so fucked up. If like step one of Blue Beam, start murdering people.
Well, the idea of blue beam, Project Blue Beam, is they're gonna fake an alien invasion. So the idea is that they would want people that know that the technology is real, and the ones who created it and aren't able to talk on it to basically be silenced. So basically like a way to like get rid of anybody that knows that it's not real.
I think these people disappearing and dying might be part of World War III. I
Maybe.
think it might be more so, even with like maybe it's aliens, but the tie there is that it might be foreign powers or maybe not so foreign powers.
I don't know. I don't think it's foreign powers, to be honest with you. This, like, with how it doesn't even seem like the FBI or the CIA or anybody really even gives a shit that this is even happening. So that to me tells me that it's probably the United States government. They're
Yeah.
not really acting out like, oh my gosh, somebody's picking off our scientists in weird ways. No, that to me tells me that it's probably the U.S. government doing it.
Well, but at the same time, I think that it's less so Project Bluebeam, more like trying to control the narrative as soon as possible. Like one side's about to just like tell you and change the world and show you there's aliens, and the other side's going to tell you that like no, there's aliens, but they're all evil.
Well, I was just going to say that that's also part of Bluebeam is that they want to fake an alien invasion as a way to false flag in order to show that aliens are evil. That's what like Bluebeam first started out as. It didn't just
Yeah.
say that aliens didn't exist. It actually did say aliens existed and that we have the technology. But the idea is to fake an alien invasion so that we can go to war with aliens, whether right or wrong. Which is funny because this came out about 5 years before a certain event that we should all never forget.
I don't think that's going to happen, only because I think we've been so lucky to be able to develop to a point where we could just realize that like the idea of aliens invading to, or even fake invading, however you want to put it, to unite us against one common threat. Like
Yeah, but the
we've
uniting
we've
is
heard that idea many times
yeah.
now.
But the uniting is the scary part because they're not doing it in positive interests. It's more like uniting under a global government so that everybody's under a surveillance state. So it's like the idea of like secret invasion in the comic books. In Marvel Comics, they did secret invasion so that they couldn't tell who was a Skrull and who wasn't. So what they had to do was they had to go and round up all the heroes and basically like force them into submission. That led into like Dark Reign afterwards, Norman Osborn being president, and basically putting like a surveillance state up because they couldn't tell who was who. So it can cause a lot of issues, you know?
I just think that aliens, I think this whole thing's gonna not. I don't think invasion's part of the plan because in the
I'm
long
not saying
run,
it is. I'm saying like the United States government could put this up as part of their plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think either side is gonna actually go crazy on this. I think they're all gonna be like. I think they're all gonna do the same thing they always do and just kind of pussy out on even talking about aliens.
I don't know. I don't think that they're gonna pussy out on talking about aliens.
I think we're gonna get disclosure another way,
yeah, in war.
and it might be from another country.
I don't know about that. I think we're just going to up
Might be
the
time
ante
for
with all
Japan
these
to step
weapons.
up.
It might be time for Japan to or Russia. Russia seems like they have some kind of groundbreaking things, or England. Supposedly England has some shit.
If England has some shit, that's part of like the fucking larger power it be that
I forgot what it was, but I think England was the
New York
first
can do.
like public crash site. Like it wasn't Roswell. It was before Roswell. There was a few before Roswell, but I think England was one of them. Like in 1933, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, that might have been the Die Glock. So like originally, supposedly this is how the legend goes. The Germans in I guess the 30s like found a crashed UFO that they were able to reverse engineer. But I think before that, in like the 20s or the 10s, the English were the first to get one, supposedly. But I think the Vatican had one. I think the Vatican had some crazy shit that we all don't even know about locked away.
Absolutely.
Well, remember I was telling you that theory that I have about, I think possibly a lot of the stuff that in the past the Vatican was able to hold their power because in the past I think maybe like potentially UFO like crash landed and they were able to get their hands on some like UFO type technology and they were able to somehow manipulate it to a small degree, I guess using like mental shit Because that's probably what would have happened is they would have probably touched it, or eventually someone would have touched it and been able to use it. And they probably would have projected images of like Jesus and like the Virgin Mary and shit like that using their like mental like psychic like shit or linkage with the alien technology. And I think that was like a way that they even could have used like created miracles back in the day. Not saying that that's how it happened, but I think that could have been like a case too. You never know. Not like Jesus miracles, but you know how like supposedly like different like places around the world, or like back in the day in the Roman Empire, they saw like the Virgin Mary pop up and shit like that, and it like was like a glowing figure. Well, maybe it was just this alien technology that they were using to holographically project it. Yeah, just my 2 cents, I guess.
So what do you think about Bob Lazar then?
Bob Lazar?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he worked on alien technology.
So there is alien technology. It's not just
I'm not saying that there's not alien. I'm saying like the Vatican got a hold of a crashed UFO. I think like a lot of people probably did over the years, and some people probably forgot about it, or some civilizations probably had it buried or something like that. But I think there's probably a lot of like civilizations that got a hold of alien technology and were able to like use it to like a certain extent. And I think we're the first civilization like in our history thus far that we can speak on that has at least the mental know-how to tap into at least or at least scratch the surface of what this technology can give us. And I think that's like the difference between us and our ancestors, because our ancestors intuitively knew, I think, how to use this technology, but we were able to like tap into the idea of it on a more like scientific scale, even if it is far beyond like our current reach of what we can accomplish. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But what do we got? So, got some random things here. Hyperdimensional forces manipulate humanity. Gnostics and USG docs. EME, extraterrestrial materialized entity. That one sounds pretty good. Humanity isn't at the top of the food chain, so to speak. Historically, it has been known that there exist hidden forces that feed off of humans and keep humans in a frequency prison. As the anti-host was talking about earlier, samsara, we call it. Symbolized in the film by machines using people's life force as batteries. The ancients had a better understanding of reality, and the only way to progress is to research their cosmological models. The ancients had a better understanding of reality, and the only way to progress is to research their cosmological models. The different dimensions are as shown above, stacked on top of one another. Our ancestors understood that we lived in a closed system. Earth is the tree of life. In frequency terms, the inner space plane is very close to the range of the five senses, but a fraction outside, just beyond the range that we can see. People have taken mind-altering drugs that break through the vibrational walls of the five senses and allow their consciousness to see beyond it, have had the same experience. So were you kind of like also like insinuating that maybe the AI also is kind of like seeing things from like a psychedelic point of view?
I was just thinking that we are the same as AI. When I was talking about that, like we are processing things in a very similar way.
I think you're right. Well, I think when we like open up our mind and we see things in like a psychedelic way, maybe that's like early AI, why everything was so psychedelic, because it didn't really have everything fully configured yet, so it was processing everything all at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's like we process it when we sleep. Like we're an AI all day, just reacting to things and like storing information as it happens and reacting with what we have. But then like when we go to sleep, we're almost like updating.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way of putting it, actually. So it says, if these...
But I think we're limited. I think we're limited.
Yep.
Because we have a job to do.
And that's just to be...
Just to, work hard.
Yeah. It's just to work hard. Just roll that rock up the hill.
Not just... It's more like roll that rock over here.
Just roll that rock over here.
Go roll that rock over here. I need that rock.
So what's the rock in this case?
The thing that the overarching power IP wants from us.
And what is that?
The soul essence that I was talking about.
So it wants us to work hard so that we can just develop our soul, so they can harvest it at death, and we can just fucking do it all over again.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me pissed the fuck off. And you know what?
it's why the world is a simulation. It's because like it's just a place for us to be. It's our metaverse where we just exist. We're already in it.
That makes me really
But it's
angry.
not all digital. I also don't know if we're entirely digital. I just mean that. I mean, maybe there is no such thing as digital if you just keep moving. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that makes me really angry and emotional, you know? It makes me emotionally charged, and there's no way that helps that thing. Anyways, it says if these entities lower their vibration only slightly to enter the 5 sense range, they become visible to us here. Dr. Kleiner, Dr. Kleiner Human Atmosphere created the original Daicanon goggles. We've talked about those before. First generation infrared goggles used in Vietnam allowed one to see our whole reality. Soldiers reported seeing entities all around them. Due to panic, the equipment was withdrawn and never used again. And the equipment apparently had caused problems with soldiers in Vietnam was called the Starlight Scopes. These entities attach to the human biophysical field and essentially feed off of our life force. Remember, the body is a crystal. Homo sapiens is a hybrid species, one that has been purposely adapted to receive interdimensional influences of suppression and enslavement. This was once well known by the populace in the Apkalu, were so well loved because they were seen as protectors of humanity. Plane of Force Nasut, Material Plane 2. Oh, this is just like sources. The human organism is similar to a plant. It has the ability to draw needed energy to feed emotional states, and this can essentially energize cells or cause increases in cortisol and catabolize cells depending on the emotional triggers. So emotions do help the archons. Anyways,
Just
Yep.
activity does.
Yeah, anything. Getting really angry and fed up with life and feeling like it's hopeless, that doesn't help anything.
Well, no, because at the same time, this thing is like becoming bigger and better, and like if you advance without self-destructive, and by self-destructive I mean like the overall machine self-destructive. Like I think self-destructive behaviors are being weeded out through the samsara process.
So, is the man from Kentucky gonna get out of samsara?
I think he's like the point at which the wheel turns.
At which the wheel turns. All right. Well, we did deify him, so that's fun. Says parasitism is one of the three most let me turn myself up a little bit. Parasitism is one of the three most classic types of relationship in the organic world. The other two are predation and symbiosis. Notice these are all relationships of energetic transaction, and human beings collectively and individually can be considered all three. Ayurveda, the traditional medicine of India, is divided into 8 sections, one of which is entirely devoted to the study of Buddhas, or entities. Their influence on health and sanity and the ways one can get rid of them. Buddha Vidya, science of entities. Traditional Chinese medicine, we find that in acupuncture, among the 361 points of the 14 main meridians, 17 have the word kui, discarnate spirit, as part of their main or secondary name. We got to get into all that stuff one of these days, like the Ayurveda and maybe like Chinese medicine and stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It says, we once were aware of the hidden forces influencing our reality/world. The biggest causes are suppression of knowledge, corruption of science, and the modern world's caught in limited 3D reductionist thinking in the view of life/reality. Focus on outer technological progress at the cost of developing our inner technology. The mind-body split by design, which cuts us off from our full potential and ability to perceive these forces. Therefore, it is above all necessary to begin with that the person who enters the spiritual world overcomes fear, feelings of helplessness, despair, and anxiety. But these are exactly the feelings that belong to contemporary culture and materialism, because it disconnects people from the spiritual world, especially suited to evoke hopelessness and the fear of the unknown in people, thereby calling up the above-mentioned hostile forces against them. Our ancestors understood the planets weren't massive solid rocks you can land on. but luminaries, 7 celestial energies that affect the human consciousness. The current cosmological model confines us in a material world. They're not scientists, they're seancists. That's funny. Seancists. Modern science is nothing more than black magic used for purposes of deception. Scientism, America's state religion, as Enoch predicted, they've hidden the true nature of the stars, and yet the people take them to be gods. Accurate cosmology. Now we have NASA as well as E. Musk acknowledging not being able to leave Leo. So yeah, basically, a bunch of hidden knowledge and shit like that in this. There's a lot of shit in here, so maybe we should just, like, get the gist of it. Although these are all, like, pretty big truths that it's giving us. You know what I mean? What do you
is this
think?
again?
This is just pretty much talking about, like, the hyper-dimensional forces that manipulate
What
humanity.
what is
Like,
this?
all of this. This is a Reddit post.
This is a Reddit post. Okay,
Yeah, it's called The Hyperdimensional Forces That Manipulate Humanity.
cool.
Yeah. Today, the entire world worships Saturn unknowingly. Okay, now it's getting good. Saturn controls the physical realm, aka Kronos, Father Time. Saturn keeps us locked
Wait,
into
shouldn't
linear.
you say
Yeah.
who posted this?
It was posted by Adventurous-Ear 9433. So, if you guys want to look it up.
Shout out to
Alright.
him for making this or
Yeah. Shout out to him.
cataloging these ideas.
Exactly. Let's see. Where was it? Okay. Today, the entire world worships Saturn unknowingly. Saturn controls the physical realm, aka Kronos, Father Time. Saturn keeps us locked into a linear, sequential time. Seems we never have enough time to get everything done, but this is only a myth in the physical existence because as divine souls, our lives are eternal. Okay. The square represents physical matter, and the circle symbolizes the non-physical. This is where we get think outside the box. A cube unfolds into a cross, the weapon and symbol of the Gnostic demiurge used to crucify Christ. Therefore, the cube, the cross represents matter, the 4 cardinal directions, the zodiac, and time, the space-time continuum. Interesting. Absolutely nowhere does Sumerian corpus state that the creation of Adama or mankind was done so that humanity could serve as a slave species to mine gold, and it certainly does not depict an Anunnaki scientist crossing alien DNA with primates. That's what this guy's saying. Sumerian literature plainly tells the story of humanity being created by the gods to assist in the process of creation itself. In the West, society itself is run by the Catholic Church, and it's easy to see that the God people serve today is the imperfect demiurge God. God of the Old Testament, who they also called Yaldabaoth, who wants to keep humans in a state of ignorance in a material world and who punishes their attempts to achieve knowledge and insight, to eat from the tree of knowledge. Now they're discovering our universe is holographic. Nothing is actually solid. It's all an illusion. The projection of the one's mind, which is directly opposed to modern materialistic science, which is limited. On the other hand, the ancient sphere 0 on the tree of life is the pure of the potential, is that of pure potential. How East and West think profoundly different. These studies are an example. You can see the consciousness is being suppressed, and this greatly affects people's perception of reality. The Western world is extremely left brain dominant purposefully. Right brain is the feminine aspect. It creates a holistic perception of reality where all things are united. Intuition, creativity, insight, for example, seeing humans as one united consciousness. Left brain is the analytical side, which breaks down the united perception of the right and singular segments, breaks things down and manipulate them. Left is masculine, most importantly, the place of the ego. Seems the humanity as individuals and not unified. Let's see. It's basically an ancient AI. The blind, ignorant, false god who only knows the material world. Essentially, the agenda of transhumanism is about creating artificially intelligent hybrids or cyborgs to replace the organic spiritual consciousness of humans. Most of these options are designed to disconnect the human soul from the human body and prepare the body to be used for a shell for a new host. A primary goal of many transhumanists is to convince the public that embracing radical technology and science is the human species' best interests. In the Gnostic texts, these are the archons who cast a trance over Adam. They put him into a sleepy state, but it was his perception they dulled. They make our hearts heavy that we may not pay attention and may not see, so we lose the reflection of the divine light within us. Give them bread and circuses, and they shall never revolt. The second treatise of the great Seth, an unnamed Gnostic master, says the Archons devised a plan about me to release their error and their absurdity. An example of said absurdity is our solar calendar, Adam giving birth to Eve, patriarchal system which directly contradicts nature, and Holy Spirit, who by many original Christians and by the Gnostics was understood to be a female manifestation of God. God is the prime creator, thus appears as male and female at the same time, and the Testament of Amram describes the experience of Amram in which an angel and a demon were wrestling over his soul. He describes how one was a serpent with the visage of a viper, those familiar with the Robert Monroe's work with the CIA will recall how over half of the 400 participants encountered these same beings. I saw watchers in my vision, the dream vision, quote unquote. Let's see. A fifth of the NHC material is about the Archons, explains about what's going on, and you see precisely why the Catholic Church claimed it was heresy. Gnostics describe how these entities are jealous of us, the physical world, and how they have to possess a person to experience it. They describe two races of men, one who has a soul and the other as an organic portal that cannot ever grasp our spiritual nature. What if there exists a type of human who has no connection to the higher centers of universal love and awareness at all by birth? That's crazy. Intended to make him anew, this time from earth, water, fire, wind, which are matter, darkness, and desire, the artificial spirit. This all become a tomb, a new kind of body. Those thieves bound the man in it, and chained him in forgetfulness and made him subject to dying. His mental abilities were far greater than those of his creators. When they come forth from the body, such a soul is given over to the powers created by the rulers. Bound in chains and cast in prison again, around and around it goes until it manages to become free from forgetfulness through knowledge. And so eventually it becomes perfect and is saved. E. Rosenbridge Egyptians. I'm sure many are familiar with the accounts of experiences of the phenomenon. You'll notice that pets, animals will always sense something that their owners can't see. Like Skinwalker Ranch and how cows would react while those researchers carrying out experiences saw nothing at all. Book of Numbers 22, 23 to 31. Now the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with the sword drawn in his hand, and the donkey turned aside out the way and went into the field. So Balaam, not being able to see the angel, struck the donkey to turn her back onto the road. And then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing to the way into the drawn sword with his hand, and he bowed his head and fell flat on his face. That's kind of funny. We as a society have de-evolved. Gnostics were well aware of a predatory alien presence that took delight in others' pain and that used deception as a tool. Disconnected from their own power, without divinity, they became parasites that had to hijack the energy of others to survive. Nag Hammadi. Since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the U.S. in the field of commerce and manufacturing are afraid of somebody, are afraid of something. They know that there's a power somewhere, so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they had better not speak above their brethren when speaking condemnation of it. Woodrow Wilson, 20th President of the United States. That was actually a really great post. What do you think?
What are the people saying about it?
Good point. Let me see. So some of that to me sounded kind of schizo, but a lot of it sounded pretty like spot on to a lot of the shit. Somebody said ocean of sugarcane syrup, question mark, exclamation point. Poor humans, always the victim and controlled. Nothing we do is bad because of us. Mysticism, nonsense, smoke and mirrors, bad faith, pseudoscience at best. You can claim anything, blame magic, and feel validated. Nope. That's not evidence of anything, but someone who doesn't understand whose discovery and it says hose discovery and validation work. It was interesting till you asserted that fluoride was purposely being added to our drinking water to suppress consciousness. I think I skipped that. But that is true. I mean, it maybe not to suppress consciousness, but it dumbs us down. I think that suppresses consciousness. I don't know. I think that guy, if you're into like Gnosticism and shit, that guy seemed like he was pretty with it.
That guy gave me the creeps.
That guy gave me the creeps, did he? What else do we got? From pumas to terror birds, what could have become Antarctica's apex predator? Electrical disturbances apparently extraterrestrial origin. A peer-reviewed published paper from 1933 has been hiding in plain sight for 91 years. That sounds pretty interesting. In 1933, Karl Jansky found structured radio waves from Sagittarius. His discovery was accepted in the peer-reviewed journal Proceedings of the Institute of Radio Engineers, but the Great Depression led to his getting no research funding. It was published in the Proceedings of the Institute of Radio Engineers. And this is from Wikipedia, and this guy who put this together is named Pyrol's Spy, S-P-A-I. At Bell Telephone Labs, Jansky built a directional antenna designed to receive radio waves at frequency of 20.5 megahertz, wavelength about 14.6 meters. It had a diameter of approximately 100 feet and stood 20 feet tall. It was mounted on top of a turntable on a set of 4 Model T wheels. That's the Ford Model T, which allowed it to be rotated in the azimuthal direction, earning it the nickname Jansky's merry-go-round, the cost of which was later estimated to be less than 1,000. By rotating the antenna, the direction of received signal could be pinpointed. The intensity of the signal was recorded by the analog of the pen and paper and recording system housed in a small shed by the side of the antenna. After recording signals from all directions for several months, Jansky eventually categorized them into 3 types of static: nearby thunderstorms, distant thunderstorms, and faint static or hiss of unknown origin. He spent over a year investigating the source of the 3rd type of static, and the location of maximum intensity rose and fell once a day, and leading Jansky to surmise initially that he was detecting radiation from the sun. After a few months of the following signal, however, the point of maximum static moved away from the position of the sun. Jansky also determined that the signal repeated on a cycle of 23 hours and 56 minutes. Jansky discussed the puzzling phenomenon with his friend, the astrophysicist Albert Melvin Skellett, who pointed out that the observed time between the signal peaks was the exact length of a sidereal day, the time it took for a fixed astronomical object such as a star to pass in front of the antenna every time the Earth rotated. By comparing his observations with optical astronomical maps, Jansky concluded that the radiation was coming from the Milky Way and was strongest on 7:10 p.m. on September 16, 1932, in the direction of the center of the galaxy in the constellation of Sagittarius. Jansky announced his discovery at a meeting in Washington, D.C. on April 30, 1933, to a small audience who could not comprehend its significance. His discovery was widely publicized, appearing in the New York Times of May 5, 1933, and he was interviewed on a special NBC program on radio sounds from among the stars. In October 1933, his discovery was published in a journal article entitled Electrical Disturbances Apparently of Extraterrestrial Origin to the Proceedings of the Institute of Radio Engineers. In the radio sources, if the radio sources were from the stars, the sun should also be producing radio noise, but Jansky found that it did not. In the early 1930s, the sun was at an inactive phase in its sunspot cycle. In 1935, Jansky made the suggestion that the radio wave... Jesus Christ, I'm fucking up my words right now. The strange radio signals were produced from interstellar gas. I had 1 beer and smoked a blunt and I'm all fucked up. By thermal agitation of charged particles. Jansky accomplished these investigations while still in his 20s with a bachelor's degree in physics. Good for him. Jansky wanted to further investigate the Milky Way, the radio waves after 1935. He called the radiation star noise in the thesis, and he submitted to earn his 1936 University of Wisconsin master's degree. But he found little support from either astronomers, for whom it was completely foreign, or Bell Labs, which could not justify during the Great Depression cost of research on a phenomenon that did not significantly affect transatlantic communication systems. Wow. What do you think of that one?
That one's above my pay grade.
That one's above my pay grade. I mean, that's pretty cool. Sagittarius is where they say that a lot of aliens are actually, like, coming from, too. So that kind of, like, would make sense, and that would track if, like, a lot of the conspiracies are true. And what if that guy did pick up on that signal? And what if what happened is an alien picked up on the fact that he picked up on it, and they sent scouts out here, and that's like a lot of like the 1950s when like we made deals with the aliens. That's what happened. Like, what if some of those scouts came here and that's what Roswell was and shit like that? You know what I mean? Because they say that like when you pick up on signals, you're drawing attention to that. You know what I mean? you're basically like drawing attention to yourself by picking up on a signal. You know what I mean? That's what they say, that like when we heard the wow signal, that we sent ourselves out there. Same thing with like the atomic bomb. We've talked about that before, where like when the atomic bomb just produces such a massive amount of energy that you can see it, even like there's like radio, like you can see the signals probably from space. Like, you can tell that something big happened, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, here's a creepy post. Something talking to my son on high strangeness. I love how the top comment is deleted, and then the comment under that is, it was Deadpool, and the comment under that is deleted. I wonder what that comment was. So this post is coming from Darth Kronos 07. And it's something talking to my son.
And remember, Kronos is Saturn.
Yes. Kronos, Saturn, time.
All right, continue.
Yeah. So this person goes, I'm a skeptic of the supernatural, never put much stock in ghosts or spirits. I do think aliens are real and rationally could exist through biological process, naturally. My kids have had experiences, quote unquote, in each house we have lived. I always wrote it off as overactive imagination. So for a little over a year, my youngest son has been talking to us about the, quote, baby in his room. He is only 2 and will be 3 soon. My wife and I wrote this off as being overstimulated by something he saw on TV. He seemed to calm down, only mentioning his, quote, friend every so often. But he stopped waking up terrified, so we thought we were past it. Here lately, though, he has gotten more articulate. He is bringing up details out of nowhere that we are having a hard time explaining. Things like the description of this thing, its favorite things and where it comes from and how it comes to the room. Some of these details we cannot figure out how he would get this info. The, quote, baby is naked, smaller than him, and it can fly with wings. Its favorite food is dates and likes to drink milk. We are a middle-class white family, and the only time I've ever even heard of dates was in Indiana Jones, which he has never seen. He says it flies into his room from the window and talks to him. He refuses to elaborate on what it wants and what they talk about. He says it lives in the woods and it's never present during the day when he's playing with his toys. That's weird. Which, if it was an imaginary friend, I would have thought he would be playing with it when he was playing. I'm coming here because I'm starting to see things I can't explain and hear things that do not make sense. Last week, I was out doing yard work and he had been playing with a clothes hanger like a grappling hook. When I came back inside through the front door, I found the hanger standing up by itself about 2 feet away from the door. He was upstairs playing and no one was around it. I thought it was strange, asked my wife how the heck he did that, and picked it up and put it away. That's weird. But that could make sense in some weird way. But we've all had, like, weird moments, right, where, like, weird shit like that just randomly happens, where you think, like, oh, did I put that thing there, or did I see it there, and then how did it get there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The next day, as I was walking from the kitchen to the bedroom, I saw motion out of my peripheral. It was moving fast. When I turned my head, I see a shadow figure flying near the ceiling, going from the bar in the kitchen, past a hanging light fixture, through the wall just above the glass door leading to the deck. Best way I can describe it is a damn fairy. It was about 8 inches tall with a butterfly-like wings. The top wings were more lobed, but the bottom wings were kind of pointed. At this point, I turned around to my wife and asked if she just saw that. She had her back to us, so she didn't see anything. After this incident, I reconsidered the clothes hanger. I tried for nearly an hour to make this damn thing stand up. I was hoping it was curved or bent in a way to make it stand up, or there was a spot in the hardwood floor that was perfect for it to nestle into. I could not replicate it. I asked my son what he did, or if he even did it. He said he sang to it, and his friend made it stand up. The only thing I know about fairies is from movies. I believe in things that could possibly exist, like aliens or Bigfoot. I do not think spirits are real. All this is making me reevaluate things, and everything I've researched about these things from folklore is not pleasant. Has everyone seen anything similar or had any experience with this type of thing? Please message or reach out if you have any info. Edit 916. I got cameras from my dad. Unfortunately, they do not record sound, but at least they can record and give me better coverage. Also, this morning when changing my son, he looked at me and said the baby is gonna stay. This was unprompted and kind of caught me off guard, so that has kicked me into overdrive. For anyone looking for updates on this situation, we decided to perform a cleanse on our home. I am a Christian, so we gathered close family at our home to pray over it, so I can only say it was a singular, most amazing event of my life, and I can honestly say I've never felt anything like it. Sounds insane, but it was like anything could all. After this, I'd been quiet. My son no longer talks about his friend. I don't know, that could have been all bullshit, but what do you think about that?
Could be all bullshit.
Yeah, that one, I don't know. At first, it got me, but I don't know.
I
Especially
just
the
don't even think a
edits.
2-year-old could like describe things like that.
Well, so that was the weird part about it, is everything that the kid was saying that the thing liked. Like, that to me was just like, that was the odd things.
Well, no, like I don't even think a kid could like fully explain that to the parents. Like
What a date is.
the 2-year-old.
Yeah, I would have a hard time explaining it to anyone. Hey, do you want a
A
date?
2-year-old still talks like a rugrat.
Yeah, unless they pointed out what the thing was that the thing wanted. But yeah, you're right. The fuck? I don't know. It was weird. A 19
Maybe there's some I don't know. Maybe 2-year-olds are talking are really there's some 2-year-old geniuses. But when it was just explaining, like, yeah, my 2-year-old said that there's this flying baby that flies through the window.
Yeah, I actually thought that was going a
Dates.
different way, honestly, when I heard the flying baby thing.
I was thinking demonic little.
I was thinking like
incubus thing.
angelic, so kind of, yeah, along those lines of like more biblical. I was not thinking like it was going like fairy like direction at all. Let's see. I got a post about a 1956 experience of a French woman who would try the reverse of a scenario that so many people experience by attempting to abduct a gray alien into her car. That sounds awesome. That would be cool to abduct an alien.
Yeah.
The quotes are taken direct. This is from UFO Nodder on High Strangeness. The quotes are taken directly from the Flying Saucer Review article, source at the bottom of the post, location Choisy-le-Roi, Ile-de-France, in France date, middle of February 1956 at 9:30, 21:30 International. It was 9:30 p.m. one night in mid-February of 1956, and I was driving back alone in my car, Fresno, from Choisy-le-Roi. Oh, not Fresno, Fresney. Along the 186 B-class road at the time. After visiting my parents at Choisy-le-Roi, I no longer remember the precise date. I was 41 at the time, was running a tannery business. Okay, that's cool. In those days, the number 7 A-class road was very different from now. It was being widened. There was a roundabout there now. See sketch map theory, just south of Paris. I was just about to start crossing the bridge over the number 7 on the left hand and was gone now. On the right, I had to pass up a slight incline, and it was at that point I spotted something bright and shining. White, phosphorescent. There was a faint hissing noise that seemed to be connected with the object. You know what's funny is I would never describe something as phosphorescent, but I always see that as a descriptor in a lot of these things. You know what I mean? Like, I would never think to be like, oh, that it was like phosphorescent. But maybe that was like an old-timey like word that they used a lot. But I wouldn't ever think of using that word. Would you?
No.
That always throws me off when people say that in things.
I would say it was luminescent.
Luminescent, yeah, it was glowing. It was glowing. There was a faint hissing noise that seemed to be connected with the object, which was suspended at maybe some 20 centimeters or so off the ground of some wasteland. I pulled up as to get a closer look, and then I love how she described it as some wasteland. I pulled up as to get a closer look, and then I noticed a person about 1 meter 30 or so high moving about near it. And there came to my mind the thought of flying saucers, of which there was occasionally talk in the newspapers, and I got the sudden idea that maybe if I could grab an occupant and take him to the newspapers, what a fine thing that would be for me. Small and thin as the little chap appeared, he would not be very hard to carry. This is a direct quote, by the way. So there and then I opened my boot and got it ready to put my precious captive into it. And enchanted with my idea, I proceeded to pull it off. I think a boot was probably like their way of saying trunk. By now, around the machine, there were 8 of them. I engrossed in looking at something or other on the ground. The thing had the shape of a flattened pumpkin with luminescent facets that doubtless were windows. Hey, that's a great way to describe an alien head. The shape of a flattened pumpkin. That's pretty funny. With luminescent facets that doubtless were windows, and I noticed 2 more of the beings inside the machine. The others outside seemed to be studying the waste ground there. When they saw that, with no signs of fear, I was approaching them, they were off, as quick as rabbits, into an opening in the base of the craft. The last one of them I was aiming to grab turned around and fixed his big black eyes on me intensely as if wanting to say something. But just as I thought I was about to get him, a beam of light shot out from one of the windows on the upper part of the machine and engulfed me and paralyzed me on the spot. I couldn't move any part of me except my eyes, and it was only then for the first time that I really began to be scared. It is difficult to judge time during such conditions, so I don't know how long this lasted, but they had all gone into the machine, and then the brightness of the light beam started to fade, and I was able to back away and escape to my car. I got back to the car and sat there waiting. I don't know whether it was through fear or because I had been paralyzed again, for once more I couldn't move. I clearly heard a sort of scraping noise that sounded like metallic, and there was therefore no doubt their door closing. I went on waiting for a while, 10 minutes or so maybe. My car was parked on the grass verge beside the road, and I was desperately anxious to be gone. But I couldn't operate the gears, and I was totally unable to leave. Then suddenly the hissing noise from the machine became intensely loud, and it slowly started to rise until it was at the height of the tops of the big plane trees fringing the Choisy Leroy Road. The machine stopped momentarily, then took off at top speed to start with. The entire craft turned orange and then passed to red as its speed increased. Immediately I was able to start That's interesting. The entire craft turned orange and then passed to red as its speed increased. Remember what it said about the 4chan leaker said about the UFOs, that they came in 3 different types. If they're orange, it's for research purposes. If they're red, it's for defense purposes. And if it's blue, or it's for something else, I forgot what it was. And remember I told you when I saw that one up in the sky, it was just moving slightly orange and it was kind of flashing, and then all of a sudden it just reversed directions and it turned red. Remember I was telling you about that?
Maybe.
So, real quick, when me and saw the UFO in the sky, like when we saw what we saw, it was orange and it was flashing, and it was moving towards another orb that was in the sky, right? And then it stopped when it got to the other orb in the sky, and it reversed directions, and it turned red, and it was still flashing. But it wasn't flashing like an airplane or like anything like that. It was just like a weird, like a fuzz. It was weird. That's what happened, like when me and saw that, is we basically saw that. That's actually funny because it says the machine stopped momentarily, then took off at top speed. So that's like kind of what we saw.
Yeah.
But it says I was able to start the car, and it didn't even stop to see which direction the machine had gone. Panic now caught up with me, and I decided to turn back and return to my parents in Choisy, and arrived there gasping, and poured out my whole story to them. My father said, above all, don't tell anyone about it. You have your job to think of. They'd all laugh at you, and the police would question you and harass you. Just drop the whole thing. I've never talked to anybody about it since, apart from 2 or 3 persons very close to me. Well, now, after all that, I found out that I was no longer quite the same as I had been. I was now more assured, even more intelligent. Every time that I came to a crossroads when driving my car, I now knew what was going to come from other directions. Sometimes I would say to my husband, look out, there's a big truck, or a fast car is coming. That was before anything was to be seen, and I was right every time. Sometimes we had not slowed down. We would have had an accident. At the moment when danger looms, I get a little tickling feeling in the tips of my fingers, and I also have a premonitory dreams with exact scenes, places, and subsequently I encountered those precise places. She was then asked if she had been injured by the beam, to which she replied no. She was asked if she had dreams or missing time, but affirmed she did not. She was further asked about their appearance in further detail. From what she says, it seems that they were clad in grayish-blue, tightly fitting one-piece combination garments. They had large and quite protuberant black eyes and almost no nose, but their nostril holes were visible, and they had a slit where we have a mouth, and she said they were slim, as though they had no muscles. I didn't get a good view of their legs, but I'm sure of it that they had 2 arms, no longer in proportion than is normal with us, and also their heads were proportionally bigger than ours. She went on, I repeat, what I have just told you is all real. I have added nothing to it. I checked and compared all points in in her story with the version that she had given to my friend a few years after the occurrence. Everything agreed entirely except for one minor point. Granny Jay-Z on this point, she confirmed they had not jumped into the craft. She confirmed that they had not jumped, but she said that the impression that they were moving so fast that she could not see their legs at all. She confirmed her descriptor of the craft, circular, flattened on top and below, and the central part luminous and white, but not glaring. The other parts a metallic gray. That is quite possibly one of my favorite alien stories I think I've ever read, to be honest. I think that whole thing was actually true. What do you think?
I think it's more likely than Flying Baby.
I was gonna say I at first I was almost opposite with this one, to the Flying Baby. At first I was just all right, this is whatever. This is typical UFO story. But she gave so much detail that is now widespread conspiracy lore and detail that it seems to me she probably went through something. What were some of the things? The thing that I mentioned about the changing of the colors from orange to red. That to me is a major thing. But also the idea that she had premonitory dreams and psychic situations afterwards. That's what a lot of people say after they experience UFOs and shit, is they experience more psychic phenomena. So that to me just rings kind of crazy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's an interesting one. Do you see this is the picture
I like
guess
that
she
picture.
drew. Yeah. Let's I'm going to use this picture. This is for everyone that's seeing the screen right now. This is I guess the picture of what she saw or experienced. That's kind of crazy. I wonder what the things around the head are. I don't know. Do you see that? See the things around their head?
Yeah.
It's they got I don't know if that's a halo or
Maybe it's a hood.
Yeah, because you never hear of aliens having astronaut gear. You know what I mean? What would you call that? A visor, a helmet?
Yeah, something. If it's see-through,
Like a
then
helmet.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.